After finishing the movie of Heaven's Feel, it makes me feel so empty. From Aimer doing the ending songs for the trilogy, it makes it so impactful. From Shiro losing Saber, which is quite different from the first two routes, and Sakura suffering so much and going pretty crazy, and Shiro making the decision to be there for her. And third movie, where you just see all of the back lore of just Fate Night, the Holy Grail War, the families, and so much details that I'll probably not get through all of it, of course, but mainly just want to talk about my feelings just throughout this whole movie and how much I love Fate Stay Night. And Heaven's Feel just really got me locked in on the series again. So if you haven't watched the movie, go watch it before continuing this video. And if you've seen Fate Zero before, you know how sad it is for Sakura, where she was being offered to be adopted to the Mato family, where only to be infested with worms and to carry on the Makiri family, or also known as Mato. And she just has a so rough with feeling the guilt for being the one to take away Shinji's dreams, who's a complete asshole, despicable, horrible, disturbing, and all that. Despite that though, this movie was actually pretty damn hype. More than I wish I saw it sooner. It was only up until Crunchyroll had it, like at least uploaded in December of 2024, where I finally got the chance to watch it. I will admit I did kind of push it off a little bit, but then I just had some motivation. Maybe it was from the collab of Honkai Star Rail, or maybe it's just like seeing some of the trailers, at least like the FGO anniversary for their like 10th movie or something like that. It made me nostalgic, and I just felt like I had to watch the movie for some reason. It just gave me that motivation. Finishing the movies, and it's so coincidental that I finished the third movie with the anniversary of 2 years, where the third movie came out like in 2020 of August, the second movie like January 2019, and then the first movie in October 2017. Which is crazy to think about, because I remember watching the first movie way back in theaters, where Saber was confronting Saber Alter, where it's a version of her where she's corrupted by the Grail, and basically where she's pretty much nothing's holding her back, and especially when she's being filled with unlimited mana. And so when finally coming to the conclusion of the third movie, when seeing what happens to Saber, it made me so sad, just because of how I know what it could have been if it was just the Fate route. That one of my favorite scenes in this movie was the highlight, at least the third movie, with Shiro confronting Archer, seeing like the memories of like what, because of the magic circuits connecting, and it's so dope seeing that connection with the arm too. No matter what, like when it comes to the soundtrack with Emiya's theme, it's always so hype and different variations to it, and in this is just extremely exciting. Also, as well as just seeing Shiro, for some odd reason, he can trace on with any weapon, but who knew that he could trace on someone's life? Flashbacking to like this scene with to see a glimpse of Herc's life and his accomplishments, and that was so hype. Oh my god, I was so excited to see that. I was like, I just could not hold my excitement to see that fight happen, even though it was very short, like 1 minute of a fight. And I mean, how, it's Herc. You gotta finish it fast if you're fighting someone like that. So sad how some of these fights are when it comes to the Heaven's Feel route compared to the other routes. Well, Gil has it really sad, Medea has it really sad, and Shoichiro-sama. And then seeing a long time ago with Ku versus Cursed Arm Hassan, who normally would win in normal cases, but this whole movie involving like Sakura and also the Shadow and Angry Mango Anramanyu, who you see the part of the Shadow. It's you can see why some things are not exactly I guess not a fair fight in some way, or not in normal cases where it would be normally without the Shadow. If it was just servant versus servant, it would be like a totally different game. The Shadows, that was the one thing that I was really curious about, like what are these Shadows, and seeing like the involvement and such. And definitely after watching the movie, the Fate experience, always watching it, any Fate movie, even the first, like any series, you always get confused, like what are these things? And it's a Fate experience to like look up these things after you finish the movie, figuring out what the Shadows are, finding out it relating to Anramanyu, and as well as just like some things that wasn't described in the, like at least in the movie, at least I think, is like Sakura having part of the Lesser Grail because of Zoken Mato. Zoken Mato, what an asshole. But like I knew of his existence because of playing FGO, and I know that he's like all kind of crazy because of his obsession with immortality. But look, I didn't know that he was actually like the OG from like the first like way back then with the three uh, strong mages family, something like that. And to think he was like the first guy like when it first came up with the Holy Grail. And it was kind of interesting to see him actually atone for his sin by accepting his death with just having that flashback of saying what his reasons were prior to being crazy. And it's cool to see like that connection with Ilya and Shiro really like to bond with each other, to actually know who like how they relate in some way, at least with Kirisugu, and seeing how like I felt so touched when Shiro like when he hugs Ilya. I mean, it's like comforting her, and I'm like, oh, she wish she had that this whole time with Kirisugu, and seeing like at the end too with like the like when she reached Heaven's Feel and getting upon that third magic. I was like, oh, like that flashback where with I think her parents or her mom at least. It's cool to see Kirei's background too in this route with his wife and her leaving this planet and seeing the fight with him versus Cursed Arm Hassan, and knowing if you watch Phase Zero, you can see how that's gonna end up. You always gotta love seeing Kirei's Bajichan. When Cursed Arm Hassan's gonna use his Noble Phantasm, I was like, oh, you already know that ain't gonna work. And then seeing him like straight up go to Zoken too. Also cool to see that Kirei and Shiro having a conversation and sharing their past in regards to like Kirisugu and his involvement with the Fourth Holy Grail War. Seeing cool action scenes with servants as well. Like you see more of Medusa and seeing that seeing the previous routes, you don't think that she's like all that strong. And riders you needing to consume a lot of mana. It's like, oh shoot, okay, you finally get to see like her skills and seeing her one of her Noble Phantasm with I can't pronounce the name right, but with the horse. And it's nice to see that she's actually Sakura's servant, and the fact that she actually cares about Sakura very much, and even despite being corrupted from the Holy Grail. It's always nice to see Rin in any route in Fate Stay Night. In this approach where it's completely different and it's just so funny and cute how Rin always has her moments. Seeing how she was very committed to ending Sakura too, because of how like what's at stake, like her being a part of like the Holy Grail, like corrupted Holy Grail, and as well as just part of Angry Mango. Seeing how towards the end when she really confronted Sakura, you just can't. You're like, okay, it's like, oh man, I understand what you have to do, and you do what you gotta do, right? But and then when she didn't commit to it, I was like, oh, you're so sweet. Rin's such a sweet character, and everyone loves Rin. I mean, who I don't know anyone that doesn't. Yeah, if there's anyone that everyone hates, Shinji. Shinji is such an asshole, such a bad person, doing bad things to Sakura, and is so disturbing. Just and to think that all of this, like I was aware of it, but seeing it in movie form is, oh, it's so bad. I can't. It's so bad to think that this was like, and knowing this before, like these bad things were happening behind the scenes, like when going through Fate route and Unlimited Bladeworks route, seeing Sakura suffering this entire time too, and us knowing that in Fate Zero, what her being adopted to the Mato family, you already know that she has gone through some bad stuff. From being infested with the worms, feeling guilt with Shinji, and because she's taken the name for the Mato family, and to the point where she just allows Shinji to do anything to her, and it's just so terrible. And her only happiness is when she spends time with Shiro, and it just means so much when you see that key when Shiro offers her to her, like her second home, or actually her only home, that where she feels that comfort. And that is why when Rin asks her that one question, if she's happy, it was that scene, and at the end where you see Sakura and Shiro next to each other, that got me so emotional. And again, Aimer's song just did such a good job. And to see the change in her eyes too, it makes it feel like it was so much worth the struggles. Seeing Shiro seemed like he sacrificed his ideal dreams of being a hero of justice, but from what I heard, this is like being a hero of justice for Sakura. And it's so nice to see the epilogue too, with the glow up and as well as Ryder still here, because of the connection with the Grail still with the mana. It's just so wholesome. But yeah, I hope one day that the Fate route will come into animation, and if not, anyway, I'm gonna play the game anyway. I'm really hoping to play the uncensored version shamelessly because reasons such as defenseless, the planet Uranus. Hopefully one day that hopefully Ufotable Studios is like, all right, it's time to use this budget to make the Fate route, and that would be really cool to see one day. I will give acknowledgement to Studio Deem at least, that gives at least to people like me who first came into Fate a long time ago, like around where I just remember seeing Saber a long time ago, and I was like, who is this character? Where's she from? And that's what gave me an introduction to the Fate series. I can't remember when I watched it, but it definitely was over 10 years ago when I watched the 2006 Fate Stay Night. The memes were at least timeless, and as well as just a nostalgic factor with just looking back and thinking about it, how this scene in particular just still one of my favorite, even though it was from 2006, and just the serenity of the soundtrack and everything is just, this one reminds me of why I love Fate so much. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. I guess just me talking about Heaven's Feel, because it's just a really good series, really good movie, and I just want to talk about Fate because I love Fate. So now it got me really motivated to finish FGO, like getting caught up with the story. In fact, I already caught up to finishing Lost Spell 7, so there's that. Now I gotta do Ordeal Call and then, raise my servants, other servants, all that. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Give it a like if you liked the video. My sub count is looking really low, as you can see, but I'm just happy you're here. So I just want to talk about Fate. So anyway, I'll catch you next time.